As Rikum was a saying. Yeah, so as I was saying, we were... Oh god, if I have to listen to this fucking song one more time. Is Bruce Falconer about to sue the fuck out of me? Probably. Alright. Thank you. Alright, anyway. As Raccoon was saying, we're gonna list like things to make a good villain. But I think before we do that, we have to talk about who was the best villain, and we're gonna use Z and Super. We're not gonna use GT because nobody was a good villain in GT. We're gonna use Z and Super because I feel like they had the best villains, and I know them the best. I don't know much of OG Ball. Yeah, like Mercenary Tao, even though I memed him back into existence, I don't really know much about him to talk about his good and bad points. So pick another one. We'll talk about why, if they were a good or a bad villain. Cell? Man, this is gonna be hard because I just finished Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and Cell was a better villain. All the villains were better villains in Abridged, but what made Cell, original Cell, a good villain, because he was a good villain, step one, he was ruthless, right? And that's what everybody needs. If you're gonna be a villain, at least in the heroes and villains archetype, you gotta be ruthless, right? That's why the Joker in Dark Knight is so terrifying, because he doesn't just make empty threats. He killed a lot of people. Cell killed a lot of people. That made him good. I would say the second thing that would make a good villain is a little bit of air of mystery. Majin Buu was a terrible villain, and we'll get to that in a second. So Cell was a good villain because he was ruthless. He told you he was going to kill everybody and eat them and assimilate them, and he did. The other thing was that little bit of air of mystery, right? Like, we didn't know what the fuck Cell was. He was just this thing eating people. And he wasn't so cold-hearted that he wasn't aware of like social cues. Like, Cell was kind of aware of how the world works. You know, he goes to the TV station and blows that up, leaves certain people alive, and says, "Hey, I'm announcing the Cell games, and if you don't show up, Goku, I'm gonna blow all this shit up," right? You talking about OG Cell? Oh, original Cell? Well, I'm just doing Cell as all-encompassing, because each stage of Cell is still the same character to an extent. So you have like this creature that we don't know what it is, and it's running around, it's killing a bunch of people. We can't really find it because it's good at suppressing its power. So it shows up, it eats a whole town, all these people are disappearing. It's kind of like a horror movie, right? Where it's like, hey, there's this nice quiet town, and now everybody's missing. What's going on? Oh, it's this creature. What the fuck is that? Why the hell is it green? I remember seeing in Final Bout, that was the first time I've ever seen Cell, Dragon Ball GT Final Bout's opening cutscene, and I was like, is this a Is this a friend of Piccolo's? They're both green. What's going on? So, what up, Cyver? You haven't missed much. We just got started. So you have this green creature that, okay, it's eating people. Why? Why is it eating people, right? Are you just hungry? Do I just need to feed you? I got some Fruity Pebbles over here, bro. Would you like that instead of people? No. I want to eat people. Like, okay. So there's this mysterious green creature eating people. It wants to eat people so it can get stronger. Okay. Can I talk to you and reason with you? Can you not eat people? No, I want to eat people. Oh. Okay. So we got this mysterious green creature that wants to eat people because it makes it stronger. Okay. So now I have to fight it. And it fights Kamikolo, because he has fused with Kami at this point, and is losing. And you're like, all right, Piccolo's going to get his W, and then the androids are going to be cut. Nope. This is another thing that made him a good villain. He almost was defeated, and then he gets away. Right? So you don't really know. You know that it's Cell. You know what it's made of now, right? It's made up of all of the fighters that they've always... So it's an amalgamation of all the strongest people that have ever been shown in the TV show up to this point. And it's fighting against God Piccolo, God Nail Piccolo, and fighting him kind of evenly to the point where it wasn't like a squash. But he gets away. Fruity Pebble slap, yeah. Jiro had the best best motivation of any villain. Again, we're going back into OG Dragon Ball. I don't know what his true motivation was, but yeah, I mean that's the myth, right? Is that 16 was Jiro's son that was killed by Goku when he was on the battleship. So, Imperfect Cell, we find out later, came from the future, and he killed future Trunks. So another reason why Cell was a really good villain is because he actually murdered a shit ton of people on the main cast. He killed Trunks twice. He killed Goku 17, 18, 16. I'm trying to think of who else did he kill. Didn't he kill anybody else? No. I want to say that he killed Yamcha, but that's just like through proxy. He basically killed Yamcha, yeah. So that, and then the other thing about Cell, which also made him a good villain, was Imperfect Cell, because we come to find out that he got a part of what he wanted, and then we're like, oh shit, right? So they did a really good job of introducing Cell, him fighting God Piccolo, coming to the realization I'm not strong enough. He runs away, then the other androids come back, you kind of forget about him. And we're like, we're elbow deep, pun very much intended, in the 17 Piccolo fight, where they're literally punching like their backs. Some of the craziest animation, but like we're deep into this fight, and we're like, holy shit, Piccolo's about to get another W. Like he didn't get the W against Cell. Now he's fighting 17, which is a stronger 17 than what Trunks was talking about. The same 17 that killed everybody else. Now God Piccolo is about to just do this dude in. And then who shows up, right? The creepy monster that everybody kind of forgot about. And you're like, fuck this guy. And then 16 starts kind of battling with him, and 16's like, yeah, I'm about as strong as Piccolo. I can't really take this dude out. So y'all need to run. And then he absorbs 17. And from immediately we're like, all right, so 16 was kind of working this dude. He didn't think he could beat him, but he was like, hey, I can at least slam you to the ground, hell's flash or whatever. Now I'm imperfect and you stand no chance. So Cell evolves kind of, I won't say he evolves naturally, but he goes from being a threat that we maybe could take care of to a threat that, oh shit, nobody can take care of now. And that made him very imposing. And his power creep was really good for displaying, like, how desperate Tien Shinhan was. Now, his power creep really was just to show how much Vegeta evolved and, like, getting his ass handed to him. But he, in his imperfect state, gets beat down by Tien, which it didn't do any damage, but it did keep him, like, pressed down. And it's like, damn, like, Tien's about to die. like Tien's about to just fucking die. Oh, Piccolo. Technically, he killed Piccolo again. I don't care what you say. If you get an energy blast shot through your stomach, you're dead. You die. You die. Mm-mm. 16 sacrificed himself. Well, we haven't gotten to that yet. Yeah, he did technically kill Piccolo. And yeah, we got to see Cell work for it. So we got to see progression in the villain himself, right? And it's like, okay, so he was kind of hard to deal with now. Oh, this dude's kind of like working him. All right, now he absorbed more people shit. Like there's a whole nother town of people or multiple villages and cities dead. He's just a fucking virus at this point. Oh, 16's kind of working him. All right, absorb 17. Then nobody stands a chance. And then Vegeta shows up, and then that's when you get to see, like, Cell's fucking smart. He's getting absolutely trounced by Vegeta, and he's like, you know what? The only way I can beat you is to outsmart you. So I'm gonna play towards your biggest weakness, which is your pride. And I know that because I'm part you. And yeah, so hey, how about you let me absorb this bitch? And then then you'll have your challenge. And I'm gonna wreck your shit. Yeah, he also never stops talking about becoming perfect. So at one point, I know I wanted to see Perfect Cell, right? I was like, what the fuck? He's perfect? Like, what is a perfect being? I kind of want to see this. And I don't really like the androids, so go ahead, absorb her. And then he absorbs 18 after he beat Vegeta in a mental battle. And then he's perfect. And then from there, we know the rest of the story, but he just continuously got stronger, got better, got more threatening. And, the whole story of the Android saga was going beyond Super Saiyan. It's like, well, we've seen Super Saiyan. Yeah, that's really cool, but let's shelve it already. And everything has been stronger than a Super Saiyan. And even when Vegeta surpassed himself and, then Goku comes out of the hyperbolic time chamber and they're fighting in their perfect fight. He took out the hero. Everybody's hero. He took him out first. To the point where Goku was like, literally like, I can't beat you. Like, I know I can't beat you. The androids were super lame bad guys in the main timeline, right? I think future Trunks' timeline, they are better because they do what they say that they're going to do. Like, they're just going to destroy the world, and they do. and it's kind of like God, what was that movie with Sandra Bullock where they had to like close their eyes, right? And whatever, but you guys know what movie I'm talking about. Bird Box, that's right. You know how in Bird Box, like eventually the people that survived the initial Bird Box, yeah. The people that originally survived the original assault, they just kind of like got used to living that way. Like they people evolved and moved on and just knew like, okay, like, well, the thing's here, so we have to, you know, close our eyes or whatever. What's up, Nubby the Nub? So with 17 and 18 in Future Trunks' timeline, they destroyed the world, but then there's still people trying to live their lives. And what made them threatening was like, are they here? Like, is that thunder? Like, what is that? And then they would show up and they start wrecking people. And they just, again, they killed a whole bunch of people. They, you know, killed the Z Fighters. They killed Gohan. And, you know, they were ready to kill Trunks when they were bored of him. And then he, like, there's nothing more satisfying to me than Trunks just, like, one-shotting 17 and 18. I think I watched that more than I watched the Gohan fight a lot, too. But 17 and 18 were kind of lame-ish, and you're right, Hard Mute, like, kind of wanted Cell to eat him. But yeah, I think that's why Cell was a great, so Perfect Cell takes out Goku, right? Fights him, doesn't cheat, he just straight up fights Goku, and doesn't do anything other than his bullshit. This is the one thing that I say is Cell's weakness as a villain. His bullshit regeneration ability. And that's why I loved about A Bridge when Piccolo sees Cell regenerate like the top half of his body. He's like, I'm 90% sure I can't do that. Because if you're gonna make a good villain, having them get their body constantly blown away and then they'll say, oh, I have regen. Like, no, like, you fucking lost. Like, you lost the battle. The top half of your body was disintegrated. You lose. Whether or not you can regenerate you're not dead, but you lost. Right? In an MMA fight, like, you don't fight until the guy's like neck completely twists off. Like, no, you get knocked out, you get knocked down, you're done. So that's what made him a good, I would say that was more like a heel, right? Is because you couldn't just get rid of him by killing him. The gripe I have is that they didn't ever explain how to properly kill him. It was like, you just have to Kame him harder. Warp Kame is the scare. Warp Kame is like the what? Warp full power Kame should be an instant kill. It should be an instant kill. The fact that Goku can be like, yeah, I'm gonna instant transmission to the other, like, he could be charging it right now, and fucking like Broly could be sitting there eating breakfast. He's like, you know what? Fuck you, Broly. Pop. Boo was so that was why Cell was a good villain, right? Mysterious, powerful, cowardly, hard to kill, follows through with his threats, an actual monster. I think somebody said that like Cell was like a wolf, right? And I feel like that's the perfect explanation of him. He is a wolf that is constantly on the hunt. So yeah, that's what made Cell great. Looked cool, had a lot of weird, unique powers. They were all stolen, but Cell Juniors, you guys remember that shit? Fucking terrible nightmares. Like, Cell was so strong, he was like, yeah, Vegeta, I can make something stronger than you. I can literally shit out a turd stronger than you. So he, his regeneration, he was just imposing. You couldn't get rid of him. You didn't know how to kill him. His only real weak point, yeah, his regen was like a gift and a curse. And the Kame, they should have, if they would have scienced Cell away, that would have been cool. But I mean, it's Dragon Ball Z, so we knew that was never gonna fucking happen. You guys are on about Boo. All three of my monitors just turned off. All three of my monitors now say no signal. I still hear my music. I have no idea. Oh, Jesus Christ. I really thought, I was like, all right, here we go. This is something else to fucking break. Whew. So, Boo. Majin Buu. I want to say that Majin Buu was the worst villain that they ever made. And I can't think of anybody worse than Majin Buu. Like, I'm even going through like Cybermen, Raditz. Yeah, Majin Buu was the worst villain that they ever made. The strongest, yes. 3 stages of Buu. Okay. Kid Buu was funny, but annoying. Because with all the talk about Majin Buu and just how Dragon Ball had been for so long, and now my boss is calling me, so just 1 second. Yes, sir. Oh, living the dream. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Uh Jesus Christ. What did I miss here? Oh, that's right. We were talking about Majin Buu. Yeah, Boo was the worst villain in the show. Fat Boo was nothing like what we thought Majin Buu was going to be. We got Frieza, we got Cell. We thought Majin Buu, when he finally gets released, was going to be Kid Buu. That's what we all thought, right? Or Super Buu. Like this serious, imposing, bruh. And then you get Fat Boo, who's got like this childlike mind, right? It's like a kid. You're like, oh, give me your hand, and then like they rip your hand off, and they're just like playful, like ha 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 ha. And you're like, oh, that's scary. And then you see Boo get blown up, and then he like, you take Cell's OP regeneration and you multiply it by 1,000,000, and then you have Boo, and you're like, okay, so how are we supposed to beat this guy? Like, Boo was a character that didn't take himself seriously, and I don't think they took that part of Z seriously, but they then tried really hard, and so Boo's all over the place. He's just a bad villain. Yeah, just a bad villain. But you guys are talking about Vegeta. I would argue that, yeah, Vegeta was the best villain that they had. Because, so you guys hit the head on the nail on the head a couple of times already about Vegeta. What's the first thing that we see him doing? Eating an alien on a planet. In the filler episode, he pretends that he's saving a planet, and then he ends up just destroying it, right? Which, in the heart of the Arlians, Nappa and Vegeta were its saviors. They probably have no idea why they were destroyed. So if Arlian history was to survive, if there is one person who survived their planet getting blown up on Arlia, they will tell the tale of how the Prince of All Saiyans freed them from their own evil king. But Vegeta was first generation don't give a fuck. Right? Can we agree on that? Vegeta just did not care. He knew who he was. He knew what he was about. Yes, he was working for Frieza. But he was the closest that I could say is a comparison to Urakoga. And I don't want to say but better, but he was what Urakoga could have been, because what was his goal? His goal was to get the Dragon Balls, wish for immortality, and to become supreme ruler of the universe. So why was Vegeta? I mean, he hit all the points of Cell, right? Ruthless, ruthless without getting his hands dirty, like Frieza. He just had Nappa do everything except for destroying the planet, which isn't really canon. It was one of the filler episodes, but Vegeta didn't kill anybody until he got to Namek. But he was able to defeat Goku. In fair 1v1 combat, Vegeta defeated Goku. Twice, by the way. So why everybody says like, oh, he's second to Goku? He's not. He beat Goku twice. He killed Nappa. Yeah. Goku defeated Nappa, but Vegeta killed him. Yeah. Yeah. So what made Vegeta a good villain? He killed his comrade very easily and without thought. That instantly you're like, oh, this motherfucker's for real. Played dirty on Namek, yep. Didn't give a shit about humans, right? But they kind of didn't need to they didn't need to reintroduce Vegeta that way, because we already saw Nappa, we already saw Raditz. We saw what real Saiyans were like. And the fact that Nappa bowed to this guy was saying, like, yeah, he's the same way. He just doesn't need to do it, right? Like, this is what Saiyans are. They're ruthless. They will kill you if you attack them. They have no problem with just showing up and beating the shit out of somebody. So the farmer that Raditz kills, all the people that Nappa kills, the fact that Vegeta blew up a planet, they didn't need to go into Vegeta going on this big rampage to show how ruthless he was. All of that devastation was tied back to Vegeta in the fact that neither Nappa nor Raditz would fuck with him. Speaking of fucking Vegeta, he also had the dopest theme song out of any anime character. No, didn't Raditz was going to use double Sunday or Saturday Crush, whatever. And didn't he stop because he saw Goku's power level on his scouter? All right now, keep your eyes on the birdie. Double Sunday or whatever. And then he just fucked off. I think that's why Raditz left and left Piccolo alone. Plus, we needed somebody to kill Goku. We needed somebody there. But yeah, Vegeta was another great villain. He again, ruthless. We know his goals. He's there for the Dragon Balls. He 1v1s Goku and loses the beam battle, but then comes back and it's not underhanded. He just uses his transformation, right? It's like if he and Goku were fighting and then Goku's like, all right, so I'm just going to turn into a Super Saiyan now and beat you. And she was like, what? We would never say that was cheating. So yeah, and then you get a great fight. He takes on Goku, a beaten up Krillin, a beaten up Gohan. He beats up on Yamcha. He gets hit with the Spirit Bomb. This is what makes Vegeta so awesome. He gets hit with King Kai's ultimate attack, be it that Goku dropped a little bit of it, but he still gets hit with it and then he gets back up. Right? For as much as we know, King Kai is the king of gods, and Vegeta gets hit with it, and it's just like, all right, I'm gonna fucking murder you. Like, that hurt. If he had the whole thing, we don't know. We don't know. That's what we assume. But look at the Spirit Bomb that Frieza got hit with. That thing, the Spirit Bomb that Frieza got hit with should have destroyed Namek. I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm talking about like real life physics and Dragon Ball Z, and I just made fun of somebody this morning for saying that, but fucking that much energy exploding should have destroyed Namek. And it gave Frieza a black eye. And I think maybe blew off a chunk of his tail. And I think the Spirit Bomb can destroy everything. Yeah, I mean, we don't know, right? Which, I mean, that whole thing, the Spirit Bomb to me is a fucking terrible attack. I think that being Goku's trump card is the lamest thing ever. I have no respect for the Spirit Bomb, but it's neither here nor there. So yeah, Vegeta, great villain. We know his goals. We know that he's ruthless. He is the stand in my way and I'll kill you. But if you don't stop me, then eventually at some point I'm going to kill you too, right? Like the future that Trunks is living in and goes back in time to prevent, that future could easily be swapped with Vegeta got the Dragon Balls, was made immortal, and now this is the future. And the future has this dope-ass theme song. So Vegeta, also very good character. So I'm going to pause for a second here and kind of switch gears. So we've talked about like what makes a good villain. So in roleplay, right, what would make a good villain? And now that Cyber's here, we can talk about, because his history of roleplay is much better than mine, some of the best villains that we have had on page. Number 1, Cal Mega. Probably the best RP villain that we've had. And I can't remember. Tellar. Tellar was another good villain that we had. Lie Psycho, another great villain. Anti-hero, villain, he was a villain. You would say that, I don't know. If I remember correctly, Cal Mega blew up a bus full of like children and nurses or nuns or some shit like that. Like that's not anti-hero to me. That's pure villainry. But so what made these? So what would make a character on chat a good villain? Obviously, evil intentions, right? Doing things that are morally gray. Because if you're talking about role play, like the reason that there's a delineation between anime and manga and roleplay is because these things are scripted. They have a clear beginning, middle, end, and it's like, this is how we stop the big bad. And roleplay, it's a constant organic thing, and you just don't show up unless you're doing like an event villain. It's like, okay, like here's the introduction of this villain, here's their arc, and now the arc's over, and then they're done. For NPCs, that works as long as you kind of keep it consistent. But on page and on chat, it's really hard to do that with extremes, right? You can't be the Joker on chat constantly just doing the most wild maniac things, because it eventually will get old and like it gets tiring, and that character won't last very long. Right? Somebody is going to show up and be like, you know what, poop, and they're gonna Jason Todd you. Oh, so you're talking about introducing villains. Okay, so to introduce a villain, then you do kind of got to do the things that that the anime and the manga do. You've got to establish a motive that warrants players to say, we need to stop this, right? You have got to be a constant threat and this next part comes in determining on how many people are role playing, but you need to be a constant threat to as many people as possible in different ways, because there needs to be a reason for them to need to stop you. So just showing up and blows up East City, cool. Right? And if that person who just blew up East City was like, oh, I'm sorry, I was playing around with a nuclear bomb and it went off, my bad. And they do it again, and then they do it again, and then they do it again. And if you've blown up all these cities, and then all of a sudden, like, all these different players, like, yo, like, why are all these cities gone? Like, yeah, because I keep blowing them up. You said it was an accident. Yeah, that was a lie. You're a bad person. Yes, I am. So, yeah, I mean, you just need to be a constant threat, really. And again, that's hard. That's hard to do in our setting, because our setting is set up for there to be heroes and villains, and heroes save the day. And without it also being, your villain is dangerous because of how powerful they are. Because I know that we have a history of saying the villains are as strong as they need to be. But I don't think what attracts people to a villain, because that's what you're really doing. When you introduce a villain, you're attracting people to it, right? Like, people are like, oh, I want to fucking fight that guy. If they know that they're going to lose because of how powerful he is, then they're not really going to approach him. It's just how it is. I don't know if there's a way that we can get around that with the way that our system is set up, and it makes it terrible, because you want your villain to be big and imposing, but you also don't want the OOC to keep people away, and it's gonna happen, right? If you came out and said Urakoga is tier 5, everybody under tier 4, under tier 3, they're just not gonna fuck with him. They'll fuck with his minions, but not with him, right? And that's exactly what happened. So, and not only do we have to introduce a villain that is a constant threat, is more than just a plot point. Well, if the villain's played by the same transformation rules, it should be better than the past. No, you're not wrong, right? You're not wrong, to where everybody's tier 2, and then once they transform, they get into their real power. No, you're not wrong with that. But I think if you were to introduce, let's go with Ghost. If you were to reintroduce Ghost, and I think we did this right the way that it was played out, but when Ghost fought Nova and Indon and he transformed, that's when it was like, okay, this is a very clear, like, line between these two. Like, Nova is here, and Ghost is, like, kind of over here. He's just, like, a little bit beyond her. So I really think that, like, where you left off with, basically where you killed Ghost, was a good starting point for Ghost for everybody else. And I know that Ghost was, like, Cyver's personal story and personal villain. So I think that was a good starting point, but that's kind of how I would introduce it. It's kind of what I was trying to do with the, oh God, I don't think I ever named him, but you remember the Nova versus Len fight in the part where I killed off Nova, basically? That's what I was trying to do, was be like, hey, here's a big bad who just killed this girl out of nowhere. Like, literally, he instant transmissions in and kills her. And then it was going to be like, and then he was gone. And that what I was trying to do with that was say like, hey, there's a wolf out there who just devoured one of our sheep, and then he's gone. And he could come back. We don't know why, right? So what was I trying to do? Mystery. We don't know who or what it is, right? A threat because, yeah, he came in, took out Nova, who at the time was the strongest mortal that we had, and took her out pretty easily. I mean, she was pretty weak from fighting Len, but it's like he waited, showed up, killed her, and then left in as quickly as he came. So what was I trying to do? Show Zofu, show Len, like, hey, there is something out there. It took her out. Are we next? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, try to give some sort of personal motivation to be like, we can't stay at where we're at, so we need to get stronger. And then, you know, even try to find out who he is, give you guys a chore, something to do. And I think that is a good introduction to a villain, but you guys were so opposed of Nova dying that I scrapped it. Kind of wish I hadn't. I really wish I would have stuck with it. And maybe spent a little bit more time with the build-up to introduce it properly. And I feel like that's where Scorpion would have been great. At the end of the tournament, while the tournament is happening, Scorpion interrupts it. And that is what I was alluding to with the fight at the end when I was like, hey, let's just stop here and not give a clear winner. And that's kind of what happened, but if it would have happened earlier while they were still more fresh, not, you know, above 10 RP energy, which I know is what you said and that's what you planned, that would have been a great introduction to Scorpion. But I feel like Zote wanted to finish Scorpion with that introduction. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like that's the way he had it set up. So I would have done things a little differently with that introduction. But when you're introducing a villain, they got to be interesting, right? They have to have some sort of tie-in to other characters. Like for Bangers and Mash, right? Like their old police chief, he's already been kind of established as a character. If he makes a big villain turn and becomes a big bad, it wouldn't be a big shock, but he could still possibly be a good villain and a good introduction. Player characters turning, I'm always a big fan of that. If you have a really good reason as to why they suddenly went off the deep end. Yeah, so rather than being like little solo sides, and I think we talked about this at the last Proving stream, was like, okay, so rather than it being a side thing, let's get Jin involved, right? Just get more players involved. And it doesn't have to be a long thing. It can be the same thing. It's just he's responding to whatever happens. And I guess the more involved that you get players, the more invested into the villain, then the more that they would want to stop them. I had no idea what kind of villain I was going to do for Greg and Koshiro. No idea. But I wanted it to be something personal to Greg. And the way that his story was kind of going. Maybe, you know, he's trying to reforge his sword and this person kills the forge master or whatever, or steals this ore and now he's about to make some gleaming Dragon Ball infused weapon. And Koshiro's like, well, I don't really care about that. And it's like, well, he needs to do it here, which if he does it here will take out all of, you know, your hometown. So keeping mortals invested in it, which just requires more more kind of, I guess, with understanding of the mortal that you're fucking with, right? I guess the best way I can explain that, and the best example of that, is Sephiroth and Cloud Strife. Because in Final Fantasy VII, like, nobody really knows the relationship between Cloud and Sephiroth other than the fact that he is this ever-imposing, ever-present, and I'm talking about remake, demon that Cloud kind of carries with him, and then he finally gets expressed or gets seen by other people, and then now they're like, oh, well, yeah, he's trying to destroy the whole fucking planet. Let's fight him. Oh, we beat him. Oh, no, it's just a clone of his. Okay, we found him. We beat him. Ah, damn. Now we got to find his real body, you know? I think that's what makes a decent enough villain, right? But the introduction to chat, yeah, it's definitely got to be... It's definitely got to be grandiose, sort of. Because subtlety, like something, they just need to do something. Something needs to happen. And again, when Ghost attacked the Eliza Institute and took out, you know, two of the strongest people that they had, or at least fought them, I feel like if he would have fled that, or, you know, like his army comes in and kind of gets him out of there, and maybe they stole something that Indon really needed, or, you know, like he has this power source and it's like, oh god, he's got all these fucking warp crystals now. He could do so much damage with all this stuff, and Nova and I fought him to a standstill. What are we gonna do? That would have been a great introduction for Ghost, and he could have been something special. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ghost didn't die there. Good. Bring him on back. Bring him on back. Give him some... You think that would be ill-advised? I don't. Well, I do. I do think that would be ill-advised, because right now I feel like the Android Coalition needs a nudge. You hear me, androids? You need a nudge. Roku, what was it? Who was this that started? Somebody started already. Oh my god, it's me. Oh my god, it's me. Cyber Zero got kind of buried. He did get kind of buried. Yeah. 069, The Awakening. Oh, wow. This is super short. The sun begins to rise as birds chirp happily, awaiting their morning meal as worms rise from the ground like the living dead to consume the morning dew. Cats prowl in the grass, watching the birds, awaiting the moment to pounce the aves once their bellies are full, causing them to be more sluggish. Among the sounds, a newly woke android, 069, combs the waves of heat rising in the streets as he makes his way down the road. "Fresh biscuits!" exclaims a man outside of a shop. An old man, feeble in body but sound in mind, his hands drawn from the years of arthritis and remnants of flour visible upon them. He wipes his brow of the sweat as he continues to shout to sell his wares. "Fresh biscuits!" A smile appears on his face as the android comes close. "Howdy." The man takes a draw from a cigarette before continuing. "Made 'em fresh this morning." Suddenly, he is cut off as a hand is shoved through his chest. 069 does not care for his gab. "Your life is claimed as one wasted. You destroy yourself," he said, as looking to the cigarette that is now laying on the lips of the human. Crashing sounds and shattering glass can be heard as the android has now continued his onslaught. The people run for their lives to no avail, and shortly a stillness is felt. The worms long gone, birds consumed, only are remnants of feathers and a feline's torn in half. This town is cleansed, 6ix9ine said to himself as he continues to walk down the road, continuing to the horizon top and scanning for signs of life to snuff out once more. Honestly, this could be a bio. But that was, you know what? We were talking about all this fucking time we've been wasting. I've been wasting your time talking about good villain introductions. We have it. Rokuju is a perfect villain introduction. It's perfect. What do we know? It's an android. It kills people indiscriminately. And it just says, your life is one wasted. It has been cleansed. And it's looking for more people to kill. That's great. Now, how is this character going to do when it actually role plays with somebody? That's going to be hard, right? Because we don't get much of the character here. All we get was just he's walking down the road. He grabs this guy. He dros this guy. And then apparently he just goes about killing everybody. What's crazy is that not a lot of action. They didn't talk about how the dude backflipped off his arm and then he had to chase him down and then he grabbed him and then he stabbed. I chased him down to the hallway. He was bouncing off the walls like a bullet ricocheting through. No, nothing like that. He just grabbed him, stabbed him. We get told that he killed everybody else, and then it's a still scene. And he killed the cats too. But yeah, that's a good villain introduction. Because now, right, if our heroes show up at random East City. God, what the fuck happened here? He even killed the goddamn cat. What the shit, Lana? And then it's oh, hey, sir, do you know? And then, then you start fighting with this fucking dude. Yeah, it's great. And then don't kill 6ix9ine, right? He gets away. And then he comes back and he does it again. Maybe he has this is where you could say okay, so he goes and he's gonna. We've already known that he's destroyed one city. He's going to another city nearby to destroy it, and now the Earth Defense Force is there to stop him, and so he still does it, but now he has his own. The bad guy has his bad guys to fight. So yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and I mean, your response to that was, somebody's going to show up who won't stand for it, and then you have actual conflict. Yeah, you know what I mean, though, right? Like nobody's gonna let you go, but he escapes. I would say, I mean, we've had sillier shit, but Rokuju always has a tank capsule, and he opens the capsule, and when the tank pops up, it shoots a shell into his chest, and he rides that shell off like Mercenary Tao. Mercenary Tao doesn't just kick the thing and throw it. No, this android shoots a shell out of a fucking rocket and carries him away or whatever. He gets away. You should get away. You're fuck, he's pulling out the tank again. Stop him. Or maybe he goes to use a super attack and it blows up and he looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again. I think that's perfect. I think that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. But yeah, that's a great villain introduction. Where are we at here? I hope we gave him a billion RPP for that. Man, we still don't have... oh, and this is just to placate Rendo. Rendo Piggy Cream Puff. Was it good? Was he a good character? I don't think so. You know who are the best villains of our fucking arc is our gods. The gods of DBI are the biggest villains that we've ever had. Oh, these mortals are having a nice fun little tournament for a Dragon Ball. Let's intervene. Sir? Who else was a good villain that we had? Tellar was good because Tellar was cowardly. Tellar was like Imperfect Cell, where he would boast about his power. He was powerful, and then he got away. Thorm Doomiston? Yes, he was a good villain. But didn't Thorn Doomiston lose to regular Doomiston? Like, wasn't that big arc just a get everybody involved to see how awesome I am? Ooh, no. What was his fucking name? Oh, God. What was the dude's name? What was Max Power's android machine making person? That guy who didn't think he was a villain? Sid. Sid didn't think he was a villain, but he was. And it's because the role player didn't think that Sid was a villain, but he was. Yes, Virgil. Virgil did not think that Sid was a villain, but Sid was a fucking villain. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna assimilate people and turn them into my robot army. Like, what the shit? There was actually that demon guy too. Maxed? No, Maxed was a Getty. Demon guy. Started with an S? Oh, I have no idea. Demon. Who roleplayed a demon? You followed him around on Joa. Oh my god. Why are you testing my memory like this? Oh, now I'm gonna have to go back to the forums. And I'm gonna have to just search. Am I just gonna search Joa? Are you gonna tell me that's he killed Mecha? Oh, yeah, that thing. I thought it was Balbaroi, but it wasn't Balbaroi. It was the other one. Wow, Joa was around for fucking Gabriel? Yeah, he was a four-legged thing. The thing that took physics way too far. Joa trained under OG Rizian, which was Gabriel. Oh, what was this thing? No, like Riz from the Dome. You're not talking about Demon Riz, are you? This is solo. Oh, Ragnios. Yeah. Joa's technically a Psyharden. What the shit? What was this thing's name? Oh, just look a mecha. Later, buddy. I'm actually gonna be wrapping things up soon. This is just gonna fucking drive me wild if I cannot find this thing's name. Search. Anyway, I think we covered anything. Do you guys have any more questions? Any more comments? Anything else you want to talk about before I wrap things up? I gotta go eat. Yes, no, maybe so. All right, I'm gonna take that as a no. Yeah, if you want to make a good character, make it brief, mysterious, imposing, and eat your vegetables.